Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me. We'll look into some crazy moves in the markets. Now, I'm going to start with the markets and then I'll move to the MTG cards and see what they've been doing. Mainly because I want to just talk about crypto for a second. Now, there's this huge flush down for Bitcoin, about a 20% or greater move altogether. I think overall it moved about, pretty much on the dot, 20% by the looks of it. And this is pretty impressive, but then again, it is crypto. It did break its 20-day moving average. It is currently touching the 200-day moving average, which should be very strong support. So I'm expecting a decent bounce tomorrow for Bitcoin and other crypto as well. ADA would be taking the same thing, where it hit a very large, probably about 40% drop, and then it bounced back a lot, but then it is still on its way down. You can see that it is still overbought as well, but I'm expecting that to go away. The problem is this resistance is right around about 22, which it did bounce off. So currently it is on its way up, but the next level of resistance for ADA is now 26, which is kind of means that it's stuck in this little pattern right here. There could be quite a few people that exit out of this one and then drop back. If you've ever seen a chart where people lose confidence in a market, there's usually a peak and then there's a second peak. It's called a dead cat bounce, which pretty much is people expecting to get to a price that's reasonable to what they bought into, and then they try to get out as fast as they can with the losses that they already have because they know that this is not going to go too well. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. All I know is that the dollar is doing pretty strong moves right now. It bounced off the 92 mark really hard, and now it's hitting the 50-day moving average. It's still above its 200, so we're going to have to see what happens to it. I'm expecting this 50-day moving average to be a point where it's going to have a lot of trouble breaking over. We'll have to see how that goes. It depends on what the Federal Reserve for the US does. If they start talking about tapering sometime this year and earlier rather than later, then that could mean we could have some really big issues. And I will show you an article at the end that's just going to talk about it, and this will impact collectibles as well. So let's move right into it. So you can see that Bayou and Badlands, neither one of them are really moving too much. Bayou did take a bit of a lift off between July and August, but then it did flatline for a bit. So I'm expecting this to stabilize until we hear more about more stimulus, more Federal Reserve bond purchases, etc., to expand the money supply. You've got Fracturing Gust from Secret Lair series taking off again. No surprise there. We've seen the other two Fracturing Dust take off for a long time now, and it's being used in quite a few modern decks. So this moving up, not a surprise if you have it. Good for you, because I did not buy this one. But yeah, it depends on the artwork as well. I think it looks okay. Moving on to Righteous Valkyrie from Kaldheim. So we have some more angels that were spoiled in Innistrad. I don't know if that's 100% the reason why this has moved, but it is starting to spike up since that has come out. And the average price for this that you can get is around about $5.49. If someone lets you use the art collection, then go for it, because right now you got a 25 cents card. But I don't think that's going to be the case in real tournaments. But it does give an alternative. I wonder if you can use this in commander decks. It's not a 100% a fake card. It's got the art. So, we'll have to see. Seat of the Synoid from Planechase, still spiking all over the place. This card is very popular. All versions of it are spiking. You can see that it's comfortably sitting at $2. Moving over to Sacred Foundry, this was on the list yesterday. Still very aggressive move up. No signs of slowing down. The cheapest you can get it for is Guilds of Ravnica for $20. That still means that this has only got a 1.5 times multiplier on it. I'd expect it to sit around about $40 at this point, at least a double. Arcbound Overseer from Darksteel. Now, I think we did look at this card way back. Still moving quite aggressively. The last couple of days I've seen it spike up again. It's very good. It's not very good at all. It's pretty much just a card that you can use for modular decks. Torsky, Bearer of Secrets, promo pack Kaldheim. Like I said, Torsky is still in an $8 card from the other two different versions of him. This is the promo version, which has obviously got a bit more of a premium on it. $12.59 for the marketplace, an average of $30, which is kind of weird, but depends on what works. Opal Eye, Kondan's Yojimbo. Betrayers of Kamigawa. Now, I don't have this guy. He seems kind of cool, but also really complicated. He is legendary, so that helps. This is probably a spike up since Kamigawa was released. Sorry, the spoilers for Kamigawa was coming out. So yeah, I can see reasons for it to move up. He's got Bushindo, he's got Defender. Next time a source of your choice would deal damage this turn, that damage is dealt to Opal I instead. 1 colorless, 1 white. Prevent the next 1 damage that will be dealt to him. It doesn't feel that strong, but sure, maybe you can do some gimmicky stuff with this card. And Cobalt Overload from Legends. Legends card on the reserve list actually has some value because of those 2 reasons. Also some really creepy looking art. It's a 2 mana 1/2 first strike Cobalt that gives all your other Cobalts first strike as well. Is it good? I don't think so, but right now it's sitting at $100, moving up from $38, so depends on what you want to get out of it. Moving over to Standard for MTG Goldfish. Great Henge is still moving up 1%, but 45 for 39. Alila Artful Provocateur moving up to 12%, sitting at $3.61. I think this one had a drop of about 12% just a couple of days ago. Magda Brazen Borrower moving up by 13% as well. And the Deck of Many Things now gaining by 6%. Great commander card. $3.21. The biggest drops, 8% drop for Sprite Dragon from the promo pack. Nothing too crazy. You got a 12% drop for Cauldron's Familiar. $1.53. Most likely because it's about rotating out. Moving on to Pioneer. Biggest gain, Alayla back on the list. You got Thassa, God of the Sea, Rise of the Dark Realms, and Lyra Dawnbringer, all gaining by 4% to sit around about the $15 mark for $13 to $15 mark. Moving, sorry, I didn't cover the top losers. The biggest losers, nothing more than Blood Crypt, which dropped by 4%, $20 to $98. Everything else is very minimal. And for Modern, the biggest gains are from Ulamog, the Infinite Jaya, now sitting at around about $70, a 6% gain. You got a 7% gain again from Master of the Wild Hunt, now sitting at $18.24. The biggest drop, Hunt Master of the Fells, no surprise there. It had like a 210% increase, $31.99 now. Nature's World, drop of 7%. You got Tormod's Crypt, a drop of 13%, now sitting at $7.85. Nether Traded now dropping 13% to now sit at $6.94. Pretty impressive actually. That was a very expensive card in the past. So let's have a look at what the Federal Reserve is going to do. There is some comments made by James Bullard, which is one of the president of the St. Louis Fed, who said that it's probably a good idea to start thinking and talking and actually getting on with tapering. They pretty much, the Federal Reserve in the US purchases around about 25% of all bonds, which means they're increasing money supply every month by about $120 billion, which could explain a lot of the inflation that you're seeing right now. Now, if they start tapering it, there's two things that can come up. The market might immediately throw a fit, and I think that's probably not very likely, but it's very hard for the market to move up when 25% of the reason why it's moving up is gone. So you got the backstops kind of falling away. So we'll have to see what happens. This is also the same reason why gold and crypto is doing well, which is why everything is sitting at the 200-day mark. If you go and look at gold, it's sitting right on the daily 200-day moving average. See how it bounces off it? It trades within it. It keeps with it now. You can see it all sticking together. The only things that aren't really doing that is the S&P 500. But you can see that the gold market actually hit a overbought, which is crazy because that doesn't look overbought to me at all. This might be overbought, yeah, sure. And you got this part here, which is probably overbought, which, they picked up. But it's saying this part as well. Now, depending on what the dollar does, is what the gold will do as well. If the dollar gets a lot of strength, gold could lose a lot. Now, there's very unlikely reasons why that's not going to happen. The only reason is if the US 10-year yield also goes above the 200-day moving average, in which case inflation might be enough of a reason for people to go and buy gold. Now, Bitcoin, El Salvador got in. I don't know if that actually helps Bitcoin, but the fact that it's now moving below The 20-day is tough. It's still a strong support of the 50 and the 200. So if Bitcoin stays above the 50 and 200, there's reasons to think that the other coins can as well. It's at a high level of support. It's got a lot of things going for it, but once something breaks a channel like this, it normally backtests the underside of the channel and then drops back down. So if you really want to pick up Bitcoin, that might be another pickup right around about the $40,000 or $42,000 range, 40 to 42,000. Obviously, desperate times means that you can pick it up again for 30,000, and then if you don't pick it up for 30,000, the next support is at 24,000, and then 18,000. Oh boy, will that be painful for a lot of people. Like I said, if you guys are going to go in at any of these, I'd be very careful. I'd probably do it as a average in, because you just don't want to go all in at the top. You can always average in and feel pretty smart about it, even if you don't feel like, oh, I could have made so much money. You can feel a bit smart about it at some point. The VIX is spiking up above 19, which is also very interesting, which means that this Thursday and Friday is going to be a very, very central point to what's going to happen with the jobs report coming out from the US. And the reason why the US matters so much is because the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, which means that when the US dollar gets inflated, every other country has to inflate their currency or devalue their currency so that they can keep up. So you can see that the US Australian dollar is also taken a bit of a dive, but it is above the 50, above the 20, below the 200. So still tricky. Another one to probably keep an eye on, I'll just quickly cover silver. Copper, a bit of a breakdown, but that's fine. Silver. Alright, so silver is doing okay, but it did bounce off its 50-day moving average, and now it's on its way down. We're going to have to see, because it is still very oversold on the daily. On the hourly and the 2-hourly, it looks like it's overbought, so we'll have to see what happens with that. And US and UK oil is also an important one. Looks like it's oversold, so on the 2-hour, but I normally don't go by the 2-hour. It's nothing. So it's not really overbought. It's oversold for the US oil. There's a chance that that could break out a bit. But you can't be too sure about this. The probability looks like the US dollar is going to strengthen, which means all of these are going to probably go back and test a level of some kind. Probably not too far down because it's already gone 2 days through. But see how it goes in the end. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and see ya.